Calculus kids, this is Dr. Callahan for week 6 Tuesday. How are you guys doing? Go ahead and pause the video and answer the following 3 questions to warm up blog. All right, let's go ahead and create the assignment for today for AP Calculus. Okay, so today is week 6 Tuesday. Calculus AP semester 2. Today I'm going to talk about derivatives of log, Your instruction is to make sure you're watching the video for its entirety and then also upload the assignment if you have any there. There are 2 links for you guys. The big one is for your YouTube channel, sorry. And then make sure you're checking in with me by 9:41 today with second period. And with that said, everything is due by 3 p.m. And I'll just go ahead and sign it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's take a look at the first part right here for your warm-up. Question number 1, find the slope of the tangent line for f of x at x equals 3. So we're going to find f prime of x. Remember, the derivative of e to the u is e to the u d over dx, which is just u prime. So looking at this, if u is going to be negative 2x, derivative of u is just negative 2. So then your derivative of this is e to the u, which is e to the negative 2x times u prime is negative 2. But here it's given to you that x is 3, so you're going to put it in here. So you have e to the negative 6 times negative 2. Grab your calculator, and you should have the following answers of 0.005 as your slope of the tangent line. For the second one, you have u prime, or excuse me, u as negative 1 over x squared. With this one, you might have to do the, if you move it up, you can actually avoid the quotient rule. So if you move this up, you have x and negative 2. Derivative of negative x and negative 2, bring the negative 2 down, so that's a positive 2x, 1 power. So rewrite it, this is what you have. I'm sorry, positive 2x and negative 3rd power, not 1 power. It's negative 2 minus 1, so negative 3. So if I were to rewrite this, to keep in mind that your e and your x to the negative 3 is moved down to the bottom, 2 remains up, and this is. Now with this one, you will have to use the product rule. So f is going to be e to negative x, so f prime is negative e to negative x. G is going to be ln x. Derivative of g is 1 over x. So here is your components, the product rule. So first thing I'm going to do is f prime times g. So this part here. And then we're going to do f times g prime right there. And in this case, I actually did f times g prime plus f prime times g. It's a commutative property, which is fine, but I will probably flip it over just so I can keep consistent with the f prime times g plus f times g prime, so you don't mix it up, because you can't do the commutative property when it comes to the quotient rule, because you can't do the f prime times g minus f times g prime and reverse that, because the negative does switch. Okay. So I'm looking at this right here, I'm thinking I could factor out e to the x. So that means if I factor out e to the negative x, I have a 1 over x left here. Then I have a negative that's left over here from the negative e to the negative x, negative ln x, which is going to be right here. And then after that, you could go ahead and move the e to the negative x down to the denominator, multiply and distribute it in. So your first part is negative 1x to the e to the x minus ln over e to the x. And at this point, if you would like to join the 2 fractions together, make sure you have a common denominator, which means the second fraction you have to multiply by an x. So then the numerator is just 1 minus x ln x, as so. Denominator is just x e to the x. All right, so let's take a look at our notes today. So your notes looks as follows. And before I do that, we're just going to do some practice on a whiteboards on E and natural logs. You will have an assessment on Wednesday when it comes to this. So today we're just going to be practicing with it. In addition, you do have some video notes from the questions in your textbook. So these are the questions we will be practicing on the whiteboard today. And then if you take a look over here, these are some of the questions from your textbook that you can also find using this link by watching the video and just copying it down because it also assists you with that. All right, so then with that said, let's go ahead and continue and practice this then. So this is the first one. It's not asking for the derivative or anything. It's just saying, how would you solve for x if you have a question that looks like this? Well, the first thing as I'm looking at this, I realize that my ln and e will naturally just cancel. So then I have a 2x equals 12, which if I divide it, x equals 6. So that's pretty simple. All right, let's go on to something that's a little bit more complicated maybe. With this one, I would suggest that you go ahead and add the 6 over, or at least move it over. So you have 3e to the x equals 14 divided by the 3, e to the x equals 14 over 3. Now the strategy to get rid of the e is to make sure you have your ln. So let's go ahead and insert ln on both sides. So that cancels. X equals ln 14 over 3. You would need to have this on your calculator. So then if you go and type it into your calculator, it's going to be approximately 1.540. And that is your answer. All right, for example 3, again, if you want to get rid of the ln, insert the e, that cancels. 4x equals e to the 1 divided by 4, x equals e to the 1 power over 4. Plug that into your calculator, and you should have a 0.680. All right, let's take a look at this one here. With the first one, you have y equals e to the negative x squared. So this is a little bit complicated if you're going to try to find y prime, because you will have to let that come down. So think of it as let u equals negative x squared, because you know that the derivative, or I should say y prime, of e to the u is e to the u times u prime. So then u prime equals negative 2x. So then when I do the derivative of this, it's just e to the u times u prime, which is e to the negative x squared times negative 2x. And if you go ahead and rewrite it, you'll just have y prime is equal to negative 2x over e to the x squared. And you can keep it like that. Now, similarly with this one here, same thing. Let u be negative 5x. U prime is negative 5. Y prime equals e to the u times u prime. Substitute it back. You have e to the negative 5x times negative 5. And you can rewrite it as a negative 5 in the front, e to the negative 5x. And that is your answer. All right, let's try something with a product rule. This one isn't necessarily too difficult, but it's good practice. So f equals x, f prime equals 1, g equals e to the x, g prime equals e to the x. And it's just e to the x. And so y prime is going to be f times g, f prime times g, plus f times g prime. So let's substitute this back. You will have f prime times g, which is just e to the x, plus f times g prime, which is x e to the x. You could factor out a e to the x, which will give you a 1 plus x, which is another version of how your answer could be. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. So with this one, I don't want to necessarily do the quotient rule, but you can. Um, well, actually, let's try the quotient rule. Let's see what we get from there. So y prime equals, now let's find the components of the quotient rule. Okay, now the quotient rule is f prime times g minus f times g prime all the way over g squared. And so let's find the pieces that I would need for this. So f is going to be e to the x minus e to the negative x, okay? So then f prime is going to be derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. Derivative of e to the negative x is a negative 1 times e to the negative x. So just keep that in mind. So if I go ahead and take that derivative of the negative x, it's a negative 1. Negative 1 with a negative here is a positive 1, e to the negative x, okay? So then your g is going to be 2, g prime is 0, g squared is 2 squared, which is just going to be 4. So then let's plug this in. F prime times g is going to give me 2 e to the x. I'm just going to distribute it, plus 2 e to the negative x. And I don't even know if that's actually a good idea or not, but I'm just going to go for it. Minus f times g prime. 0 times that is just me 0. So that's going to be obsolete. So let's just erase that. Over. Oh, for crying out loud, what's going on? Okay, my pen is not working very well. That's okay, because I have a backup pen, and hopefully that one will work. One of them is bound to work. Over 4. Okay, so if you don't like the way this is written, what you can do is you can split this. So you have 2e to the x over 4 plus 2e to the negative x over 4. Well, the first one, I know I can go ahead and reduce it to 1 over 2. So I have e to the x over 2 plus I can bring that down here, cross that out. So I have 1 over 2 e to the positive x. And that could be your answer as well. But that's what you have. All right, so the next one asks you to find the equation of this, given the fact that x is 2 and y equals 1. So let's go ahead and try this one. So I'm going to say let u be negative 2x plus x squared, because u prime is a negative 2 plus 2x. And you know that y prime of e to the u is equal to e to the u times u prime. So y prime is going to be e to the u. So that's e to the negative 2x plus x squared times u prime. U prime is a negative 2 plus 2x. Now that doesn't look very pleasing. So if you would like to modify it a little bit, I mean, the only way I can see even actually doing anything is if you just distribute it. So y prime equals negative 2 e to the negative 2x plus x squared plus 2x e to the negative 2x plus x squared. And that's really it. There's nothing else I feel like you can actually separate that from. But we're not done yet because we need to go ahead and figure out what is the slope of this. So x value is a 2. So y prime is equal to, and actually I'm going to go back to this one because that looks more simple to actually find the slope. So x is 2, so negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4, plus 2 squared is 4. Oh, well, that's easy enough. That becomes a 0, okay? E to the 0, I believe, is just 1, okay? Then over here, times negative 2. 2 times 2 is a 4. So that's going to be a negative or a positive 2. Oh, that was simple enough. So your y prime, which is your slope, is 2. Great, because now that you have that, you can go ahead and find the b. So I'm going to have y is equal to mx plus b. My y is a 1, my m is a 2, my x is a 2 plus b. So b is equal to 1 equals 4. So if I subtract the 4 over here, I have a negative 3. That's my b. So my equation for this is y is equal to 2x minus 3. And that is my answer. All right, you guys, let's see if there's anything else that we missed from this. No, I think that's pretty much it. We covered kind of all the major ones that we needed to cover. So that, I mean, if you're good with that, you're pretty much golden. So for the remaining part of class, what I would recommend you guys doing is take a look at these examples here from the textbook. They're very similar to the ones that we kind of went over in class. Maybe they're written a little bit differently, but then go ahead and attempt to do this on your own. And again, if you need some assistance, just click or not, don't click because this is not hyperlinked. Go ahead and make sure you type this tiny URL in and you'll be able to access the solutions to these questions. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And as always, stay safe and healthy, socially distance away from each other, wear your mask, and wash your hands. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.